Hey, Allie.
Hey, Seth.
So today we have Maureen Galindo. She is running for Congress in Texas, and I'm so excited to talk with her today.
Me too. She is in the 35th district, which made me realize what a small state I live in because I didn't even know districts went up that high.
You got that many?
How, what? And there's more? Wow. Yeah, she's really cool. Super glad we connected with her. Looking forward to the conversation and getting to know her better. So, I guess I'll see you on the other side.
Let's do it.
All right, Seth, we have another great guest today. We have Maureen Galindo, who's running for Texas 35th District for Congress. Maureen, welcome to Left Out Loud.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. I saw that you were running in Texas 35th District, and I'm thinking, wow, I live in a really small state. How many districts do you even have in Texas?
I feel like it's 38, but don't hold me
Okay.
to that.
Yeah.
hmm
I see those high numbers. I'm like, wow, I really live in a small state.
Texas is huge. And Texas is like taking like 5-hour drives is nothing in Texas. And I grew up in Philly. So like
Okay.
I never went to Boston before, and that's a 5-hour drive. And in
Yeah.
Texas, you just jump in the car and go.
Oh, that's crazy. So,
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your backstory? What motivated you to run for Congress? Just want to get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. So I grew up, I'm born and raised in Philly, a very working class Irish Catholic family, working class neighborhood, three generations of labor union men. My dad, both my grandpas, my great grandpa in the 1920s was like, fighting for unions and, had to carry a gun around with him in South Philly because it used to be that unions were fighting so hard for
Hmm.
workers' rights that the cops were after them. Sorry, I'm a little touchy on that because the union just endorsed my opponent, who is a cop, a sheriff, and it's just like the irony. Yeah,
Mm.
Texas unions are difficult. So yeah, that's how I grew up, like right, seeing unions and pickets, and I think that that really gave the economy of Philly, right? The working class, the opportunity to move up. And so my
Hmm.
generation's like the first to be able to go to college. I moved to Texas when I was 19. Um, Abilene, Texas, which is like a small town. My sister's husband was in the Air Force and did community college there, came to San Antonio, where I finished my undergrad. Left for a little while as an army wife life, came back as a single mom 8 years ago, chose to come back to San Antonio because specifically affordable housing. And I was in
Hmm.
school at the time. And as soon as I got here, I got my first apartment, which I searched so hard for. I prayed so hard for, and immediately found out we'd all be getting displaced within
Oh,
months because it was
no.
downtown, last working class apartments in downtown San Antonio, and um, a county creek project, a beautification project was
Hmm.
happening right next to it. So someone was buying it and going to remove everybody so they could, profit. So I started a tenant union. We made a big impact on like kind of exposing to San Antonio what gentrification looks like, what government
Hmm.
subsidized projects can do, displacing its own residents. And since then, 8 years ago, I've just been part of the housing activism, anti-ICE activism, just a bunch of the organizing community groups in San Antonio, really working to put like community into empowerment. I have two master's degrees, one in community psychology, the other in marriage and family therapy. So I'm a therapist now
Okay.
at a community organization. And I also have a private practice, but I'm not like, I have a private sex therapy practice. That's my main long-term
Oh,
goal.
Spicy.
okay, Maureen.
Sexual healing. I think that is like the root, especially for women. I might actually
Yes.
start something pretty big on that soon, because we need it right now.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, so I use that community psychology work, which is based on participatory action research, which is really getting people most impacted by issues as part of the solutions, right? Not just tokenizing them or making decisions for them, but including them and empowering them to be part of solutions. And so, yeah, I've been doing just a bunch of grassroots work for the past 8 years, which
Oh,
is what got me to this place
yeah,
now.
I mean, that's amazing. It definitely informs you as a progressive political candidate. I know Texas is historically pretty red, so I would imagine some of your efforts around, housing shortages and housing discrepancy versus maybe anti-ICE community organization might have a different response or reaction in your community. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. It's funny because I always say how like I get support from Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, Democrats. The only thing is the racism and the ICE. And it's like I know that that's going to be once I make it to the runoff, past the runoff, and it's
Mm-hmm.
me and a Republican. I'm like, that's going to have to be, what I push on. And I mean it when I'm like, you guys, ICE was created to be a military force on you.
Mm.
Like to all these Republicans who are anti-government, right? So that's sort of, yes, that's definitely the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
But really kind of the only challenge, the only big challenge I would say as far as the redness goes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Seth, did you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in Texas, we from the outside, we see a lot of positive momentum. We see the primaries that just got done, more Democrats showing up, about 150,000 more Democrats voting in the not the primary, obviously, but no, wait, no, yes, the primary. Pardon me. And so that was so cool to see. Obviously, we had two really good candidates, Talarico and Jasmine. Do you feel that same kind of momentum in Texas that we're seeing from the outside at the ground floor? With the grassroots folks down there, are you seeing that same kind of momentum, and what kind of hope does it give you for the midterms going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all just suffering so much, right? Texas has some of the worst health insurance, some of the worst workers' rights and wages. And so we're all feeling the impacts of Trump, destroying our economy even more. We're feeling that even more. And then as far as ICE goes, this to me, this is kind of my analysis anyway, because a lot of these South Texas counties voted for Trump overwhelmingly a couple years ago, and they had voted for Biden before that.
Mm.
And it's like ICE was so terrorizing that they voted for Biden, and then Biden didn't do the best job at the border, and made it feel a lot of these communities felt extremely unsafe where they were, and so that I think that's why they heavily voted for Trump, and now ICE is terrorizing them again. And so they're voting blue. And so it's just like it's this Hispanic population that just doesn't get taken care of by anybody, but gets used. And so I think this is the time and opportunity to really like make sure that they feel heard and not just get ICE out, but also just all of these government. I want to say cartels, like run cartels. It's all the trafficking that goes on in South
Yeah.
Texas. Um, and so, yeah, hopefully we can hit that. But yeah, yes, I definitely see it turning blue, and not just, it's grassroots, it's everybody, but it's also people who haven't even ever been involved in politics before, right? Like, are just
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
so appalled at everything going on that they're getting involved too, which people in Texas didn't really do before because it didn't feel like it was worth the efforts because
Right.
everything's going to go wrong anyway.
So you're the second person that I've interviewed. Seth had a work gig the last time that I interviewed a candidate. Her name was Bree Woodson, who is a therapist in residency.
Mhm.
You obviously have done active therapy work as well. Tell me like what that clinical experience does or how it informs the way you sort of shape your policy, the way that you interact with people. How is that helping you as a, and by the way, I love to see it because I'm so sick of seeing suits running for Congress that are either a lawyer or a CEO, and now they decide they want to just get into politics, but they don't have the they don't have the ability to really connect with people. So talk to me about how that's been helpful for you.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing a lot of clinical therapists running this time around, and I think that that's really cool. I was going to say, I think that sorry, we've only started talking about mental health 10 years ago. Like, do you
Mhm.
guys remember how trauma was just like part of PTSD and PTSD was only for veterans?
Yes, I do.
We've come a long way just in 10 years. So I think that's why a lot of therapists are kind of like stepping up right now because this is the time where we can kind of talk about what's going on. So in my work, I work with a very vulnerable population, a lot of complex PTSD, specifically for women. And I've had the privilege to develop a whole model of mental health at my work. I call it liberation and systems healing. And it's the idea that we can't really put on the individual all of their problems because look at the systems that they exist within. And so when we're able
Yeah.
to expose those systems, it takes sort of the shame and guilt off of somebody because now they know also how to start navigating those systems. In fact, I've been putting it together for like a year and a half, and I just presented it this morning for the first time. Um,
Cool.
Congratulations.
yeah, so man, yeah, I see what I feel like is some of the worst of it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so I've always been one to like really be able to like kind of see the worst of it and like I guess feel empathy for it and want to do something about it and take action. But yeah, the more that I do this work as a therapist, the more I just am like, we've got to change everything, the whole damn system, because
Mhm.
it's so it harms our mental health, which harms our physical health in such profound ways.
So
That's
obviously in Texas, you're going to have, immigration is always going to be a hot button topic. And you mentioned just a little bit ago how ICE has been terrorizing communities, specifically Latino communities. Um, what plans do you have to clean up our immigration process? Because obviously, we could use more border agents, more judges. We were trying to get some legislation passed, but obviously Trump said they killed a bill right before the election. So just tell our viewers what are your plans for just helping to make the process easier for the immigrants that are coming, and just maybe speed it up a little bit and clean it up.
Yeah, I don't think that any administration has ever done it purposefully so that they can keep immigrants
Yeah.
undocumented and vulnerable for trafficking.
that part. Yes.
Um, And so, and and even when you say like more agents and more judges, it's not to say that we don't need those, but I fear how corrupt they are that it's not really going to help either.
Hmm.
Um, I come from this participatory lens, which is including all of the stakeholders and especially the people most impacted. It's really difficult to do. I have been able to successfully do some of this participatory work inside of the city of San Antonio. But it takes a lot of fight. I'm willing to do that, but it's going to have to take bringing all of the stakeholders together, including immigrants who have gone through the process or who have gotten deported, to be able to figure out what does that, safe, smooth, and quick, efficient process look like at the border. When I was looking into my ancestors coming in through Ellis Island, I was looking at like a bunch of their documentation through time, and it was, that they came through, and then 5 years later, I could see at their address that was when they officially became an immigrant. So if they were able to figure it out for all of these Europeans coming in through Ellis Island, we can figure it out for the border. It's just a matter of if we have the motivation to do it, or if we allow billionaires to just continue corrupting our government so that they can keep profiting off of control of the border.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. It's so complex, but also doesn't have to be. It's kind of simple. And I think leading with empathy when it comes to immigration is kind of the game changer. Um, so obviously, you're very passionate about the housing crisis. You know, you've been adversely affected, as you mentioned, when you moved back to, is it San Antonio? I also spent years, my children are adults now, but I was a single mother for years. I understand the struggle. You talk about being a working single mom running against the system that is rigged against you. Can you talk about, are there any examples of policy fixes that you can think of that will go to the root cause of some of the things that are creating all of this struggle?
Overturning Citizens United,
Ooh,
that
We
first
love
and
that.
foremost.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the graphs of the billionaire influence over politicians from the time that Citizens United was passed, it's like a direct line up, and it's only getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to this consultant guy, and it's like, man, can you imagine if it was actually about democracy and it wasn't so much just about getting money? And he was like, I can, because I remember before Citizens United.
Right.
I don't know. I'm 38. I don't know if like maybe I wasn't paying attention much, but like I don't. I like this reality of billionaires controlling everything is all I kind of really know. And so I think that that is the number one root thing to like pull out,
Mm-hmm.
um, to be able to like just overall have them stop taking all of our tax money.
So, quick follow up. Do you think there's an appetite in Texas to maybe, I'm seeing other states trying to eliminate Citizens United at the state level, like banning it at the state level? Have you heard
Yeah.
any talk of that in Texas? And if not, feel free to think about that.
I have not. Probably because our Texas state capital has been so red, so Abbott,
Hmm.
just controlled. And I mean, he does some terrifying things, honestly, to like keep people in check. It seems like maybe it, I heard they're scared it may turn blue, the House
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Texas,
yeah.
coming up. But also, I think we'll see how things unravel. I mean, things can change all the time, right? Culture shifts rapidly.
Hmm.
But I think people are pissed about Trump is destroying our entire economy. He's putting our military at risk. He's literally just like spending all of our tax money, giving it away to the defense industry. It's like I think people or I think he's losing a lot of support
Yeah.
too. And so maybe there is a possibility. I think Texas used to be anti-corporate, kind of had like a radical effort to get corporations out of government. And so yeah, maybe we can go back there. I know the water crisis is a really big, huge problem. And that's Abbott. Abbott's just giving away Texas to all of
Right.
these data centers. And so there may be, who knows, we'll see. And I'll definitely try and help facilitate a total flip.
Yep, that would be great. Yeah, I think the more money that billionaires dump in for their own profiteering, like with these data centers, hopefully the more people feel that and push against it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought up the military because that was kind of leading into what I was going to talk about next. Because obviously, right now, the big, issue today across all media is Iran, our involvement over there. And you're very staunch in your stances on your website about the military spending. And I would just like you to maybe talk to our listeners and watchers about how you feel military spending should be done. Can we rein it in? What are your thoughts on that? And just kind of the war in general, how we've just kind of we've gone into two countries now, no regime change, and we have a $1.5 trillion defense budget being floated. And but I thought we weren't staying in Iran. I thought we were getting in and getting out. 1.5 trillion tells me that we're not going anywhere. So what are your thoughts on that?
Is it true? Someone told me last week that Trump was like he wants to create an economy based off of defense money. Has anybody heard that?
I don't know if he has come out and said that, but it certainly seems that way because what he's doing is cutting all of the programs that benefit Americans and reallocating that towards the military budget or the defense budget.
That's terrifying. So San Antonio is actually Military City, USA. That's what they call it. We have several bases here. Um, yeah, and there's some big connections with Israel here too. Do you guys know about CUFI, Christians United for Israel?
Oh,
Have not
They
heard that.
sent they're like 100,000, maybe even more, Americans, evangelical Christians, who lobby for Congress to send all this money to Israel. Um, there's this church here called Cornerstone. It's run by a pastor called John Hagee, and he created CUFI. And
Okay.
so he's like kind of one of maybe the main sort of evangelical connection into Israel and its military city. So I'm so out of establishment stuff. I don't know what's going on at those levels, but to me that's real shady. And it just concerns me, the defense industry kind of taking over here in this region. I think that we should stop spending money on offense. I definitely am a big fan of a defensive military.
Mhm.
I think that that's an important thing to have. I think having a strong army is important. Yeah, and I'm very like anti-interventionist of just everything going on. I really just want to take all of our tax money and bring it into America. And I don't know why that even sounds crazy as I'm saying it out loud. Like, how
It,
is that not what we're doing?
I mean, that's what he said he was going to do, America first, and we've seen no signs of America first since he's gotten into office the second time around. Um, yeah, and that's interesting what you brought up. I'm definitely going to look into that because I know there's kind of all these back avenues. People are now more familiar than ever with APAC, but the offshoots, I think, are a little more sinister
yep.
and
Yeah.
hard to sort of track and trace. So that's another one I'll be adding to the list. Um, okay, so what do you think, talking about like putting money over people, what do you think is the clearest example of our current Congress putting profits over people, over Americans, over their own constituents? Like, how are you seeing that play out in ways that are the most concerning to you?
Um, just for me personally, it's going to be the Blue Dog Democrats as being the most obvious example. Because are you guys familiar with them? They're a group of,
No. I feel
I
like
think that
I'm learning so much because these terms are not familiar to me.
because the Blue Dog Democrats gave $300,000 to my opponent who made it to the runoff with me. It's the only reason he made it to the runoff because he's like knows nothing about anything. So I think there are 10 Democrats in Congress, and anytime that you hear four Democrats voted with the Republicans, six Democrats voted with the Republicans, at least half of them or more are Blue Dog Democrats. So they're just Republican Democrats who are there to be the controlled opposition. And then they rotate
Hmm.
that rotating villains, they rotate who's going to be the villain, who's going to vote with the Republicans. And it also includes Vicente Gonzalez and Henry Cuellar of South Texas. So these guys voted to fund ICE.
Yep.
They voted to keep this war in Iran going on. And they want my opponent, Johnny Garcia, to be one of them in there because it's really likely that the Democrat's going to win in this district. And so
Hmm.
they're just trying to buy his way up there. So yeah, those are like examples to me lately of I'm just like, oh my God, you guys are so full of it. And it's the Blue Dogs kind of putting us all into this. If it wasn't for them, it's possible that those votes wouldn't have passed.
So disappointing. But I know, so Blue Dog, I've not heard, but I definitely am familiar with the Democrats, the corporate, I call them
Yep.
corporate establishment Dems, that chicken out or, vote the wrong way when we need them to oppose some of these things. I mean, Fetterman always comes to mind for me because he's the most obvious example of that. And now I have another word to write down. Blue dog Dems. Okay.
I was blown away to see Latinos voting to keep funding ICE. I mean, we've seen 6 months of them terrorizing their communities. And I know the constituents are pleading with them to rein this in. And so to continue to vote for the funding, I mean, that's a betrayal.
Well, now your option is them or a Republican, which is also terrifying because they're going to vote for ICE. So it's like you have no choice. Yeah.
That's sick. It's so sick. Well, moving towards one of your biggest platforms is to address affordability. And right now, with inflation surging to 3.3%, gas being what it is, and the GDP just being stuck in the mud, especially after that disastrous government shutdown and now another partial government shutdown. Both awful records that Donald Trump will have to own forever. What are some things that you want to put into practice there in San Antonio and in Texas at large to just help uh, make things more affordable, make the just the cost of living more affordable for your constituents?
Yeah. Really all of that comes down to how do we take power away from billionaires and millionaires, like the ruling class. And so that's why it's like Citizens United really has to be like the very first thing that happens just for like long-term
Mm.
healing from it. And then how do we, I actually don't, how do we prevent speculation? Like how do we like stop having such a speculative market? That's something that I'm really curious about. At a local level, I'm so into this participatory stuff. I spend a lot of time. I have a really big social media platform here. That's kind of one of the big reasons that I got the most votes. Oh, did you guys know I got the most votes for the least amount of dollars in American history?
I
Love
love
it.
in American history.
In American
I
history.
love that, Maureen. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, potentially. That's what the people in DC are saying. Um, Yeah, so locally I ran for city council last year. I have no chance of winning, but it was just to get on the, forums and be able to
Mhm.
talk crap to the councilwoman. But I created a social media platform off of it where I continued to just call out all of this corruption that I've been witnessing over the past 8 years. Especially as I've been spending that 8 years trying to create spaces in government and boards and teaching public comments to people so that we could have more voices being heard by the people who are making decisions. So, one of my biggest efforts is going to continue to be educating people on how to navigate all of these systems. So, right, there's a problem with the school board. What's going on at the school board? How do we show up to the school board and hold them accountable? How do we then, because this is always the problem I see, you hold them accountable, they get scared, and then they try to co-opt you. Oh, come here, we'll go out, and they try to give you fancy positions and stuff. So how do you like maintain everybody's integrity and values and kind of hold this
Mhm.
like gentle community accountability? Um, so that we can make changes, so that we can have accountability at all of the levels of bureaucracy. And to me, in that way, my plan is to scare the millionaires and billionaires out of San Antonio. I talk a lot, like the biggest, yeah, my big fight, one of my biggest fights is with the billionaire here. He's trying to get his news people after me right now, so it's on the top of my mind. And a billionaire who you guys are sure familiar with the Spurs, the San Antonio
Oh
Spurs.
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, Peter J. Holt, he's their owner, and he just spent, what was it, millions of dollars to get us all to vote for his stadium that we're all going to fund. Um, so calling out those corruptions and exposing them and naming them, I think that like it seems little, right? But I think that it has a really large impact collectively as
Yeah.
communities start knowing how to advocate for themselves. So that's one of, my main things about how to get billionaires out of politics.
Love that. Okay, before we wrap up, there's a question I ask every candidate. I always know the answer ahead of time, but I have to ask it for our viewers. Do you take any corporate PAC money, any foreign interest money, any back channel, APAC money?
No.
No, we know this because you've made history for the for getting on, winning your primary or getting on the ballot um, with the most amount of small dollar donations in American history, which is crazy.
Well, it was, I didn't get that many donations,
Oh,
but I spent the least amount of money
spent the
and
least amount
got
of money.
them for the most amount of votes. So dollar per vote.
So
Right.
your dollar per vote ratio is the best, basically.
I guess so, yeah.
Hey, I
Yeah,
What
mean,
do
I
you
think
think contributes to that? How do you think that played out?
I mean, yeah, I think there's a few reasons.
Because people are going
First
to
off,
want to know.
I know. Well,
what's
okay,
your
first off,
secret?
Right.
I know people always ask that. It's so funny because they're always like, I'm pretty non-conventional. I'm not your polished candidate, right? So they'll be like, you should dress like this. You should talk like this. You should do this. And then they're like, how did you get the most votes? I'm like, people
By
want
not
authentic.
By
listening to
not
y'all.
following your advice, by being
Thank
my
you.
true, authentic self.
It's
Yeah.
so incessant. It's so incessant. I think that really is truly at the heart of it. I have to say, first off, it is my name, right? That just like gives some points, but not. I got 1,000 votes over Johnny Garcia.
Hmm.
Like that's a pretty significant amount. So from there, I think that I've been in the communities for 8 years, and San
Yeah.
Antonio is a big city, but it's like a small town kind of big city, and especially my district, it's a lot of the South Side, which is like your really deep Latino and Hispanic communities. And it's like everyone talks, everyone knows each other.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel pretty confident that I just like have a good trusting name
Yeah.
in this area. And then my social media platform. And I think what's unique about mine is that I keep it very localized.
Hmm.
I think that there may be, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like kind of like celebrity like candidates that have this huge national platform, but it's like, but that doesn't help you like
Yeah.
get these local people activated. And then actually another thing I've been thinking, I think I like inspired a lot of people to go vote,
Hmm.
right? Like a lot of people have not felt heard and they just haven't gone and voted. And so, because I continue to see that people are like, oh, I went and voted for you. I'm going to get my family to vote for you too. I'm going to get this person to vote for you. It's like those add up. You
Yeah.
know, you don't need as much money if people are vouching for you and can
Right.
get votes. And so,
And that's
yeah,
so much more valuable than money, right?
it's democracy.
It's democracy, and it's, people know you and trust you, your character. You've put in the work, you've invested eight
Mhm.
years into all of this community outreach. And so, of course, why wouldn't they trust you when it comes time to go vote? I think well, hey, Democrats, knock, knock. Okay, this is how you win. This is how you
Yeah.
do it. So tell us what you need, because we definitely want you to win over this candidate that's being backed by the Blue Dog Dem. So do you need more donations? Do you need volunteers? And also tell us everywhere people can find you.
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm trying to do Blue Sky. I haven't figured it out. Um,
I was
With
like,
Blue
who
Sky,
has
none
who
of
has
us.
figured it out? Like,
Yeah.
not me, not this guy.
Everyone keeps telling me it's where all the leftists are at. I'm like, okay, but I just have my groove.
Yeah.
If you look at my social media, it's literally just me and my like ADHD rants. I'm like, I have something to say. And so I just pull out my camera. And so it's not polished. And so I already have to do it on TikTok and then Instagram. So adding Blue Sky, it's a whole nother level that I haven't gotten to. I have a lot of people who want to volunteer. I guess it's the money.
Hmm.
We've been making it happen. I feel pretty good. I've run like I mean like real grassroots campaigns, like
Yeah.
grunge campaigns with nothing, no resources at all. So none of this is like weird to me. It's like social media is free
Yeah.
capital. And then just like, yeah, I've gotten flyer, making strategic choices.
Mhm.
But I am like, okay, I'm going to need the funds. And I would love to, I have volunteers and friends who've been supporting me in big ways, and I would love to be able to pay them too,
Sure.
to be able to put more of their energy and efforts into what we're doing. So, yeah, it's really money.
Yeah, money. It's money. And your
It
website,
is always money.
it's always money. But the good money, the right kind of money. So, and that's why we're here. These are the candidates that we want to talk to. And your website, very simple. Love it. It's Maureen for uscongress.com, right?
Yeah.
Very simple, easy to remember. Go to her website, read all about her policy, her platforms. The rest speaks for itself. You're just exceptional.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love the democratic process. Actually, tomorrow is my first forum for debate.
Nice.
Cool.
Very,
County
oh,
Government.
so cool. Tell
Yeah.
everybody where's that happening?
Northeast Bear County Democrats office on San Pedro
Are
Avenue.
they streaming or it's just,
I
oh,
hope so.
because I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, it's Northeast Bear County Democrats. There's going to be several. I even just got two invitations today. I love forums. Like,
Hmm.
there's such a beautiful democratic process where, like, when I ran for city council, there was 10 of us. We really do not like our councilwoman. And we just like got to bounce off of each other, right? You get to learn different perspectives. You're all kind of like processing out loud at the same time these issues too. And so we all come out informed. I just think like the perfect representation of democracy. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I love that. If you get a chance, if you find out if it's streaming or anything, or if there's a playback, if you could DM me,
Sure.
that's how we connected in the first place because I'd love to clip it and share it and just watch it as a viewer and now a fan of yours.
Well, thank you. Yes, I will. I'll do that.
Final thoughts from you, Seth?
Uh, Maureen, once again, just thank you so much for the time. It was great to talk with you. And you're a millennial, so you get points. You get points because I love to see the new wave of leadership, whether it's Gen X or Gen Y, aka the millennials. It's great, and it's great to see that you've grown a big following, but you're still staying true to your roots. And
Yeah,
I think that's what it's about is making your name ring in the community. And that's really what's going to get you and put you over the top. So thank you again for coming.
Yeah, thank
absolutely.
you guys. I
We're going to keep
appreciate
an
it.
eye on you, and you're a friend of the show now. If there's anything you need at any time between now and the midterm elections, please reach out. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll get you back on. We'll do a call to action, and we wish you the best of luck. This has been great. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you guys. Appreciate it.
Wow, Seth, what did you think of Maureen? I thought she was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, she was great. I mean, obviously a millennial, so she gets points for
Pew
that.
pew.
Just so great to hear from her. The way that she has, grown a big platform, but remained a big name in her community. Just
Mm,
working within the community. I loved how she was talking about participatory democracy,
yeah,
holding forums, getting people involved. And that's really what being a progressive is all about. Somebody who is deeply rooted in the community, uncompromising, and that's what you got with Maureen.
absolutely. And I just felt so weirdly like at home with her. Like I've known her, but I've never met her before. She's just so approachable.
Mhm.
You can tell she really not only cares about this work, but she enjoys it, right? She has a forum tomorrow. She talked about towards the end. She's doing a debate. She's so excited. The connection, I feel like, is what drives her. And that just heals me. That heals something in me, especially in these times with this administration and all of the divisiveness to see someone that just really loves connecting with her people and her community. Oh, I wish it could be this way everywhere, forever.
Right. I mean, you can tell that she's so deeply tied to the Latino community. She
Mhm.
knows the struggle that they go through, how they've been terrorized by ICE,
Yeah.
terrorized and put through so much for very little gain, right? I mean,
Mhm.
we're not out here arresting majority criminals. We're harassing families. We're harassing, we're deporting children, separating families, and for what?
Yeah.
These people are the backbone of our society. They're what makes everybody go and what makes all of our lives easier. So, it's so great to see that she's tied in there and she has not forgotten her roots. And that's what the people of Texas need right now. Somebody who understands the plight of Texans, understands the plight of Latinos, and somebody who's looking to make Texas just more equitable and fair and smooth out that immigration process that we know has just been so gunked up for so long.
I couldn't agree more. And, I think when it comes to ICE, cruelty is the point. And Maureen feels like the antidote. And I just loved that conversation so much. I hope our audience enjoys it. Get to know her. Go to her website. This is one to watch. And, there's big money backing her opposition for the primary. So we need to push her over the edge because she's the right person for the job.
Yeah, make sure y'all check her out. Maureen for Congress.
For U.S. Congress. Maureen for USCongress.com.
So
yes.
Check her out. Website's very easy to kind of navigate. Lists all of her stances. She is extremely thorough. Yeah. So, if you're looking for a specific issue, she's got it. And I mean, really good stuff. So happy about that.
Well, this was a blast, Seth. I guess I'll see you for the next one.
Yes, indeed.
Bye.